Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Daniel.
And this is Sam.
And we are
the Kwok Brothers. So last week, guys, $1 trillion infrastructure bipartisan bill has been passed by the House and is now on its way to Biden's desk for signature. Now, this is completely different from the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better Act, also known as the Social and Climate Reform. Completely different. Although in the beginning they were part of the same package, they split it up. So this is completely different than the $1.75 trillion bill.
So with that said, in this video, really quickly, we're going to cover what's in this bill, what's it going to accomplish, and ultimately, what is it going to do to the housing market and ultimately you, the viewer. But before we go ahead and do that, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and well, if you want to have discussions with your friends like Sam and I are having discussions now, go ahead and share this video with your friends. Okay, so with that said, Sam, what is in this bill?
Yeah, so real quick, we're not going to spend a lot of time here because we do want to get to that juicy discussion about how does this impact the housing market. Now, this $1 trillion bill, approximately $110 billion will go to roads, bridges, major projects, which, we all benefit. Not a bad idea. $39 billion to modernize and make public transit more accessible, $73 billion to update and expand the power grid, $55 billion will go to clean drinking water, $65 billion will go towards broadband infrastructure, so that's internet, Wi-Fi access, and so on, and $7.5 billion for EV network, so that's for electric vehicle charging network, which would be very promising if you own an electric vehicle.
That's ridiculous.
So that's what's coming down the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Of course, there's other provisions in there, but this will do surprisingly a lot to real estate than a lot of people think. Now, while this isn't necessarily a bill that impacts real estate directly, but it does change the ecosystem in a way that it's going to impact the housing market one way or the other. So we're going to go discuss that right now. One of the first things that I believe that this infrastructure bill will change and affect is the increase in value in key neighborhoods in a city. Now, I'll give you an example. Several years ago, back in 2014, 2015, right here in our home, Chicago, Illinois, we added what's called the 606 Trail. So for a lot of you guys in Chicago, you guys may know what this is. It kind of splits through Humboldt Park area. And that trail used to be a bridge, it used to be a rail line, and they converted it into a somewhat like a park or a running trail, made it really beautiful, had arts and everything. And that significantly increased the value of this neighborhood. And we've seen homes go from $400,000, $500,000 all the way to $1 million. Just became that big and attractive area. So as we add more bridges, as we add more roads, new rail lines, new public transit, I do imagine, especially millennials more likely to commute than more than ever, I do imagine certain key neighborhoods will increase in value as well as prices. So if I were you in your area, I will look into to see which neighborhoods are getting those upgrades and infrastructure projects being done.
Well, and I would also pay attention to this because, with those increases in value of those certain neighborhoods in those homes, it comes a new reassessment of taxes. So if you're talking about what's in it for the government and what it means for the local and potentially even the state government, well, it's an increase in revenue for them.
Yeah, and I mean, one could argue this could be almost like a federal sanctioned gentrification in some areas. Some areas that are tough and hard, they may get a new rail line or a new subway station or a new metro line. That could, increase the value of the homes in the area, but that could also mean higher taxes, which could force some people out.
We'll see. Now, here's another question that we're going to have to ask is, with all this government money being spent, we're talking about $1 trillion here nationwide.
Billions.
Billions, right? Well, trillions at this point. One has to ask, well, what is it going to do to the already existing high cost of lumber, high cost of labor? I mean, there's obviously a huge supply shortage right now, and people are feeling the sting. Well, so, I mean, I've got my opinion about that, but what do you think?
Yeah, the bigger issue is the fact that, if we're adding $1 trillion of upgrades to the country, and I know this isn't going to happen all overnight. I mean, not even thinking about the labor costs, but think about the amount of raw materials that are going to be needed to build new bridges, to build new roads, to build new rail. I mean, you're talking about steel, you're talking about lumber, which already, we've experienced a new height at this year in terms of the price of lumber. We're going to see the cost of iron and precious metals go up pretty much in the next 5 to 10 years. So commodities will go up, and honestly, the kind of indirect effect of that will be it's going to be a lot tougher for developers to build new homes in that scale. So I don't know if you guys disagree with me or agree with me, but I do think that this $1 trillion bill, having all those upgrades going in, it can have an impact, a secondary impact on if you want to build a house, if you want to upgrade your house or remodel, it's going to be a lot more expensive to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with you in terms of precious metals and that aspect going up, because that's more so, if you're talking about the commodities market, that's usually more so associated with how much purchasing power that the mass individual, the mass population has, as opposed to, hey, this is more so the fiscal policy side where government is now intervening and spending trillions of dollars to increase infrastructure, which, by the way, look, whether you like them or not, that hasn't happened in a very long time.
Yeah,
it hasn't.
I honestly Googled when was the last time we had an infrastructure bill. I could not find one. I looked at least for 30 minutes to an hour, literally looking for, okay, when was the last time we had a major federal infrastructure upgrade? So in a way, I know there's a lot of people saying, well, this is going to lead to more inflation. This is going to lead to a bigger government. In a way, I do agree, because at the bottom of my heart, I'm a libertarian. I don't like to see the government going big and growing.
Government is inefficient and should be dissolved. Please hold while I transfer you.
But this is something, honestly, a lot of the bridges and roads do need upgrades. I have to say that. It's one of those things. So,
and look, Sam, I'm the same way. But at the end of the day, isn't that what government's supposed to be spending money on? Is stuff like infrastructure, building better communities for individuals, as opposed to giving out secret stock tips to certain individuals.
Good morning.
We all need to follow our favorite politicians' stock tips. They seem to know what's going on.
Is all this legal? Absolutely not.
So the other area that we're definitely looking at as far as how this infrastructure bill will affect is commercial real estate. Now, some of the commercial real estate that already exists will get an increase of value, mainly because if there are new roads, new bridges, new rail line, will increase the accessibility as well as visibility to some of these retail commercial buildings that effectively can increase the value of these commercial real estate. On the other side, I also potentially see new commercial real estate development, warehouses, industrial parks, retail, because of the fact that, hey, by adding a new bridge or adding a new road, this will increase the accessibility and visibility that increases foot traffic for the commercial real estate, which is very valuable to retail as well as some office spaces.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the one thing, Sam,
Yeah.
that this is the belle of the ball. I believe this right here is going to be affected the most by the infrastructure bill. And as a matter of fact, Bill Gates has been buying a lot of it. As a matter of fact, Warren Buffett has recently responded to this infrastructure bill. And has told...
are we talking about the big thing right now? Like the big impact?
No, not the big impact. But Warren Buffett actually came out in his latest quarterly report in responding to potentially the infrastructure bill being signed. He was telling all his investors, you gotta buy this. This is gonna affect land more than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it is a big thing we're talking about right
if you look at history right now, I mean, land is, whenever infrastructure bills were passed and billions of dollars were spent to build infrastructure, the highest thing that was impacted was not commercial real estate. It wasn't single family houses. It was land.
Yeah.
Land was the thing that saw the biggest increase in value, because if you think about the accessibility that people have, well, now people have a lot more. If you're talking about traffic, well, what asset gets benefited more than land?
Yeah, a classic example I've heard is a farmer, owns a large plot of land, and the city wanted to build a road or a highway through his land. So the city ended up buying literally a piece of a strip of land from this farmer for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So there's definitely value in land right now, especially if you own land in the outskirts area of a metropolitan area where, kind of the city ends and suburbs ends. So here's a little tip for you guys. This is a huge walkaway tip from this video, is buy land, acquire land. And I also imagine that this infrastructure bill will also forever change and lead to creation of new cities, new towns, new neighborhoods that people thought, oh, no one's gonna invest there, right? And all of a sudden it's getting a huge infrastructure upgrade, boom, right? It's gonna attract so many new people. Because right now, guys, again, there's need for housing. We're missing 5 to 7 million housing units right now. And the fact that the infrastructure bill is happening could help and assist with new developments, although, it's going to be hard for raw materials to be accessed.
Now, guys, with that said, do not take what Sam just said as investment
advice.
Don't
you
take
cannot
say that.
Advice.
Now, guys, with that said, if you guys want to get into potentially land, if you want to get in with what we're thinking and you agree with our opinion, well, Sam and I happen to have a platform where we actually purchase land and we take on accredited investors. So again, it's available for individuals who want it. The link will be in the description below.
So guys, that being said, leave your comments down below. What do you think? Do we miss anything? Do you guys agree? Do you think we missed something completely that's major? Please tell us below, because we were doing a lot of research yesterday trying to figure out, okay, how will this affect the real estate market? Of course, we talked about increasing land value, commercial real estate. We're going to see some new neighborhoods pop up. overall, this is going to be great for real estate, especially for new development.
Based on what we've seen so far.
Oh, yeah. And of course, certain key neighborhoods will experience an increase in value. So definitely subscribe, like this video, and of course, share it with anybody that's interested in real estate. So that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next video.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Daniel.
And this is Sam.
And we are the
Kwok
Kwok Brothers. Oh, you want me to explain this part?
Let me go.
All right.
I just wasn't sure who.
I did the last one, so why don't you?
You should add that to the blooper at the end.